Greetings, Holotable Heroes, this is Traygus. Today it is my pleasure to bring you Skelteric's in-depth guide to running Beast Mode in Phase 2 of the Heroic Sith Raid. But first, he'd like to thank all of his Patreons for their continued support, and if you'd like to come hang out with us on Discord, the link to the channel will be in the description below. If you enjoyed the video, leave us a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and go ahead and hit the bell just to make sure that you don't miss out on any future content. So before we talk about the general strategy for the team and look at Skelteric's runs, we first need to look at optimal mod configurations. In these runs, Skelterix is using 3 defense sets and 3 protection primaries in order to make Kenobi as durable as possible. But a speed set is a perfectly acceptable alternative for players that are struggling to hit these kinds of speeds. Boba Fett is a high-risk, high-reward alternative to Kenobi lead, and for him, you would want crit damage, crit chance, and offense with little to no emphasis on speed. Thrawn works best with speed, protection, and offense, with a target speed such that his first turn comes directly after Wampa. Optimally, Sabine Wren should be fast and durable. This ensures that she can apply Armor Shred early and often with minimal risk of dying. Hermit Yoda's mods should primarily focus on speed. However, those of you using him at a lower gear level may want to ensure that he has sufficient health and protection. Wampa is the team's primary damage dealer, and as such, you'll want crit damage, a lot of offense, and significant speed. The only Zeta ability you really need under General Kenobi is Hermit Yoda's healing special. This will lower the cooldown of the ability by 1 turn, as well as add 20% protection recovery. The protection regen, along with more frequent uses of the ability, significantly increases the team's overall survivability. Under Kenobi lead, this same special also calls all full health allies to assist. Therefore, more frequent uses of the ability will result in higher total damage. It's important that Wampa stacks cycles of pain and suffering in order to maximize his damage, but you should use Soothe on the other characters as needed in order to keep Sion's damage under control. One last thing worth mentioning, try to save multi-hitting abilities for when Sion is about to take a turn, in order to minimize the turn meter he gains from taking damage. There are a few key differences in approach if Boba Fett is the leader. Firstly, Hermit Yoda's unique Zeta is now much more useful. Should Boba Fett die while having the Master's Training buff, Yoda will be able to immediately reapply the buff on a revived Boba Fett, and his healing special can be used the following turn. For similar reasons, the protection recovery from Boba Fett's Zeta will really help reduce the chance of Boba Fett dying twice in quick succession. During these runs, you should let Wampa and Boba Fett both stack Cycle of Suffering, and this is in order to really maximize the damage. One last key distinction is that the Marauders are now vital to Boba Fett's survival. They are the primary means of regaining Bounty Hunter's resolve once he's killed, so try to avoid killing them unnecessarily. Alright, this is where the fun begins. Regardless of your choice of leader, the run will always start by giving Wampa Master's Training while targeting the Sith Assassin, and Sabine Armor Shredding Sion. On a fresh run, Sion will use all of his cooldowns on his first turn, including the ability that revives Sith allies. You may have to quickly kill the assassin twice, but it's important that she doesn't get the chance to feed turn meter to Sion. Wampa's basic gives him 20% turn meter if he isn't debuffed, which should be the case when he is first called to assist. Therefore, in order for Thrawn's first turn to come after Wampa, his speed will need to be lower than 120% of Wampa's. Going by Skeltric's recommendation of plus 110 speed on Wampa, or 237 total, Thrawn will need to be no faster than 283. This allows Wampa to take 2 full turns and land 3 damaging attacks in the very beginning of the fight. Wampa's special attack should be used to gain or replenish his protection up buff in order to keep his damage high. It can also be used to quickly dispatch freshly revived Sith, so pay attention to Sion's cooldowns when you are considering its use. Wampa's second special, Furious Foe, should almost always be used on cooldown, as each use grants continuously stacking stats. When Sabine isn't shredding Sion, make use of her second special in Soothe in order to avoid having to use her basic attack on Sion as much as possible. Thrawn's second special should primarily be used to grant Wampa extra turns for more damage, but there may be times an ally will need the protection recovery from this ability in order to survive. Fracture is crucial for slowing down Sion and lowering his counterattack chance, but like other multi-hitting abilities, it causes Sion to reach his next turn more quickly. Thus, while not always possible, abilities with multiple hits are best used when Sion is already close to full turn meter. Once underway, the run generally involves stacking Sabine's armor shred and pummeling Sion with Wampa's basic attack, with really high damage starting about halfway through. Why don't we speed this up a bit? Now let's see the same team, but this time with Boba Fett. If you're paying attention, you'll see that in this run, Sith Assassin was the first enemy to attack, but she didn't stealth and feed turn meter to Sion. Whether by chance or by using a fodder team to burn Assassin's stealth special, this opening turn allows Boba Fett to quickly fulfill his contract condition without giving up turn meter to the boss. If Sith Assassin stuns Boba Fett, you should consider using Thrawn's first turn for cleansing these effects and allow him to immediately attack Sith Assassin and hopefully reach payout. Once Boba Fett reaches payout and gains Cycle of Suffering, his damage becomes considerable. You'll mainly be using his basic attack on Sion, but should one of Sion's allies have low enough health, The AoE attack can be used to deal damage to the boss, while also replenishing Boba Fett's protection and refreshing Bounty Hunter's resolve. Now, notice the decision here to use Thrawn's basic attack on Sion instead of the Marauder. Not necessarily significant, but it does illustrate the importance Skelterix is placing on leaving Marauders to be killed by Boba Fett in order to replenish his protection and or regain Bounty Hunter's resolve as needed. Boba Fett's Execute has two interesting uses. You should be aware that when Boba's basic attack hits twice, Sion can potentially counter twice, perhaps leaving you in a bad position. Execute on Sion in this situation at least ensures that you can only be countered once. The other time it may prove useful is in the case that Boba Fett needs to regain Bounty Hunter's resolve, but has not yet regained the Master's Training buff. Without the added accuracy from Master's Training, it's possible that an assassin or marauder can dodge his basic attack. Execute, however, is unevadable. Before we sit back and enjoy the rest of Skelterix's incredible run, he made a point to tell me that this took 10 attempts despite a then max test account with very high-end mods. Point being that if you plan on using Boba Fett as leader, you may want to invest in high-level gear and more health and protection from mods in order to maximize your chances of being successful. And for those of you curious about escaping Hermit Yoda, Lilu, Skelterix's guildmate in Hexagon Omega, has a very interesting strategy. We all know that there's always significant risks involved once Sion hits Enrage. If using Yoda in another team is important to you, what you can do is purposefully have your team die 1 to 3 turns from Enrage in order to make his escape a certainty. There will be some damage lost with this approach, but not nearly as much as if you were unable to run a second high damage team in Phase 2 that requires Hermit Yoda. And that's all we have for you, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to let you enjoy the rest of this run at a faster pace. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this useful, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below. Or you can join us on Discord and ask the Raid Master yourself.